I have lived long enough to understand a bitter truth about this country. The legal system, which was built to protect the weak, has too often become an instrument in the hands of those with money. A poor man accused of something may need months to prove his innocence, but most likely years, while a rich man who is guilty may need only hours to walk free, or may walk free without even going to jail. And we know this to be true because all we have to do is look in our executive branch, in our judicial branch, in our legislative branch, the police departments, civil, federal, and state governments. That is inequality dressed up with robes, suits, and things that are very unnecessary because we're only interested in the truth. But justice does not arrive on its own. Sometimes you got to drag it or carry it in the door. But let me take you deeper than a courtroom, because this is just not about law. This is about who we are. A society is not measured, or should not be measured, by how it treats the rich. It should be measured by how it treats the people it has trained itself to overlook. Hold up a mirror, America. Is this not you? The janitor you pass without a glance, the citizens that you take their vote and don't represent, the security guard whose name you never learned, but you know the name of the policeman that beat you half to death, the worker who shows up every day, not for recognition, but because someone depends on them, who shows up for us. We have built systems that celebrate visibility and ignore value. We reward what shines, but overlooks what sustains. And yet the real worth of a person has never lived in what you can see. It lives in what they give when nobody's watching. There are people in this world who plant seeds that may never see them grow. They work, they sacrifice, they love quietly, and they walk with no applause. But hear this clearly. Those who have planted seeds, planted them for others, and have not yet reaped the harvest, are still worthy of their toil. And I don't know about the life after or not, but I know there are bones at the bottom of the ocean, bones in the graves of the people that came before me. The harvest is not always immediate, but they died and they toiled for people like myself. And it is inevitable that we shall be worthy of the harvest. See, life has a mystery and the truth has a direction. A boomerang takes time, but it always comes back to the sender. So does kindness, cruelty, truth, injustice. What you send into the world, whether seen or unseen, does not disappear. It circles, it waits, and eventually it returns. There was a man once quiet, overlooked, misunderstood, who gave more than he ever received, raised children not because he had to, but because he chose to, wrote letters he never sent, not because he had nothing to say, but because he feared his love might be a burden. Think about that. He gave them the meat off his plate because he only made so much money. And he was caring for some girls that weren't even the same color as him. See, that's the kind of stuff that's melanin right there. But you wouldn't know nothing about that, the ones who have a absence. And I'm not saying that you don't have any melanin, but the way you treat people, you can't be from us. His love was so careful, it stayed silent. A love so patient, it asked for nothing. A love so strong, it continued even when it wasn't returned. And one day the truth came. Not easily, quickly, but completely. The lies that were told against him, the man had been overlooked, been judged, and accused, was finally seen through his daughters, the ones that he sacrificed for. As a human being, this man, he was a giant in what he did, because what he did, nobody else would do. But here's the part we must not miss. Being declared innocent is not the same as being made whole, because the damage done by doubt, the quiet distance of others, the weight of being unseen, those things leave marks no verdict can erase. So what restores a person? Not applaud headlines, justice alone. What restores a person is knowing that someone believed in them when it would have been easier not to. And that is where we return ourselves, because this is not just his story, this is ours. Every time we overlook someone, we participate in a quiet injustice. Every time we assume worth based on appearance, status, or success, we reinforce a system that forgets humanity. Every time we chose to see, every time we chose to acknowledge, every time we choose to value someone who cannot repay us, we begin to correct it. There are families built on blood, and there are families built on choice. The strongest ones are not always the ones that began together, but the ones they chose to come back together again and again, despite distance, despite silence, despite time. So let me leave you with this. Do not wait for a courtroom, a hospital room, or a gravesite to understand the value of the people in your life. If you are loved, truly loved by someone who asks nothing in return, do not delay your response. Make the call. Send the message. Go home, because kindness is patience, but time is not. And one day when you look back over your life, you will not measure it by your titles, your money, your success. You will measure it by the people who stood beside you long before you had anything to offer, when you were in Pampers, when you couldn't take care of yourself. So hold up a mirror, not just to a nation, but to yourself. Ask the question honestly: who have I overlooked? Who have I failed to see? What will I do today to change that? Because in the end, the true measure of a society and the true measure of life is not found in how we treat the powerful, but in how we treat those who have the power to ignore, but in how we treat those we have the power to ignore.